those videos where road rage goes a little too far. This one actually goes the furthest that I've ever seen. The man gets out of his car, breaks the windshield, and now it's game on. This car looks like it's backing up, looking like they don't want any trouble. Almost looks like they're trying to hit him, but they're like, nah, I'm going to swerve around and give you a nice rear naked pose. An eye for an eye, a windshield for a bumper. Let's bring it on as he backs back up. Looks like he's about to take off. And no, he's about to rip out the door. Oh, man, this is fun. The guy in the front car. He's like, kiss my ass. You know what? Kiss my ass. It looks like this is all over. No weapon has.
And it happened earlier, like I posted a video, I was talking about how I understand why men experience and have weaponized incompetence because we're dealing with it with our 8-year-old right now, and it's hard. His hormones are 100% kicking in. And developmentally, like his brain is just, it's fire. And it's nonstop. Like I just feel like we're arguing with him constantly. And I'm talking about this. And this video is up for maybe like 20, 30 minutes. And everybody's like, your kid's gonna grow up to be an asshole. I can't believe you let him talk to you like that. This is gonna get worse. He's gonna end up in jail. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You need to get this under control. Like, I don't fucking know that. Like, I don't fucking know that, like, I don't want my kid to grow up to be an asshole. Like, it's just too much sometimes.
And one of my opinions that got the most backlash when I first started making videos was the idea that not all women should have kids. Actually, a lot of women shouldn't have kids. And there's this idea within the space that, oh, because she's a woman, she must procreate because that's what she was brought here to do. It's not the case for a lot of women. Case in point right here. Misandry shouldn't have kids. This woman is talking about how her 8-year-old is practicing weaponized incompetence. She can't even give her 8-year-old the benefit of the doubt. She doesn't look her 8-year-old as an innocent little boy. No, he's just another male. And because there's something inherently wrong with males, he must be practicing weaponized incompetence. He can't just be a child being a child. No. Because males don't get to be kids. They're always manipulating and scheming because male equals bad. These women should never have kids. And to all the women out there talking about, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to have, fantastic. Because you would probably make a shit mother.
You think you have kids?
I'm not having kids.
What you mean you're not having kids?
I'm not having kids.
That's what you was born there to do?
No, I'm not.
Why would you not want to have kids?
Why would I?
I'm asking you.
I want to have kids. I don't see any benefit.
For giving somebody life?
You have a kid and your life becomes about the kid. I want my life to be about me.
Oh, you selfish.
That's okay.
All right. Well, I think you can say at least Amani Wortham is honest. She's admitting to the fact that she is selfish and she wants her life to be about her. Now, if you look at the comments under this post, people are applauding her. They're saying, yay, absolutely, good for you. And by the way, I don't want to say to some woman who is this selfish, is admittedly selfish, that she should have children, even though obviously I believe the gentleman is right. I believe that having children is our divine purpose as women. I don't think there's anything that you can get from life that is not going to bring you more satisfaction and completion than having a child. But again, not going to encourage someone like her to have children. But that's not all Amani has to say. She also holds a very derogatory view of men. Take a listen.
But what do you look for in a man?
I don't look for anything in a man. I don't look for a man.
I mean, when you meet a man, you talk to him.
I don't look for nothing in a man.
So what's happening here? Now it sounds like it's not only children that she doesn't want, but she doesn't even want to have a meaningful relationship. She holds a bad view of men altogether. We've seen this before. You know, me and Matt Walsh last week, obviously I read him Megan Fox's poem book, another person who I think would qualify as a millennial. And she had that poem, just 7 lines of saying, I hate men, I hate men, I hate men, I hate men. That's the attitude that Amani is expressing in this podcast as well. And it gets worse. Now, just to give you a little bit of background before you see this next clip, rather notoriously, the rapper Cardi B went on an Instagram live and was talking about what she did before she became famous. She used to be a stripper, that's well known, but she also talked about how she would take men home from the strip club and she would drug them and rob them. You know, it's amazing. She admitted to committing the crime of drugging men and then robbing them while they were asleep, taking their wallets, and yet she's still been given tons of awards. Obviously not a very defensible thing for any woman to do, whether you're a stripper or not. But Imani defends her actions, and I want you to take a close listen to why she defends them.
How do you feel about Cardi B?
What about her?
About Cardi B admitting that she
Good for her.
used to...
Them.
Wait, no, that she used to drug and rob men?
Good for her.
Good for her?
Good for her. Who gives a They got robbed. They can get that back. They had all the money to buy this. They can buy it again. We're not even going to start comparing getting drugged and robbed for some watches or some money to getting sexually assaulted. I'm never going to be like, oh, we should be talking about Cardi B when it talks about like all the sexual assault going on. She didn't sexually assault them.
Okay, so the perspective that she holds is that it's totally fine for a woman to rob and steal money from men because in the world, men are doing things that are worse. She names another man not related to Cardi B who she believes committed sexual assault, and therefore that somehow justifies Cardi B doing something that, again, every single person in the world should condemn. What we're actually seeing, and I thought about this a lot in terms of millennials, is that brainwashing works. I am a millennial. Where is this perspective coming from? Why are there so many women that are talking about men and saying that they hate them, that they don't aspire to have a family, that they don't aspire to have any children, that they instead want to focus on themselves? And by the way, when you look at that clip of her, you can see that there is no internal joy coming out of her. This is not a happy woman that is speaking. I know it's supposed to be sold to you as this is INDEPE, independent woman. She's confident as well. No, none of those things are happening. What I'm sensing is actually a deep internal sadness. And again, how did this happen? Well, we are Generation Millennial. I think back to my own schooling experience. I think back to why it is that I used to hold the perspective that I should aspire to be a feminist, that I should aspire to climb the corporate ladder, that we do not need men at all in our lives. And fortunately, that those perspectives were shattered for me before I could end up like Imani.
Did an experiment with a group of women, and they put scars on their faces, and they told these women that they're going into a job interview, and the purpose of the experiment is to find out whether people with facial disfigurements face discrimination. They showed them the scars in the mirror. The women saw themselves with these scars, and as they led them out of the room, they said, we're just going to touch it up a little bit. And as they touched it up, they removed the scarring completely. So the women went into the job interview thinking that they are scarred, but actually being their normal selves. And the result of the experiment is that those women then came back reporting massively increased level of discrimination. Indeed, many of them came back with comments that the interviewer had made that they felt were referencing their facial disfigurements. And this is why I think this ideology of victimhood is so dangerous, because if you preach to people constantly that we're all oppressed, then that primes people to look for that.
Serious advice: you need to stop making decisions and choices. Find a man in your family who is sensible and who really cares about you, and just take their advice seriously. Also, abandon feminism. It's truly poison. Okay, you guys are all just like really misogynistic.
No, how do you define misogyny? Are you okay? Like, do you want to go as in leave? Is it because I asked how you define misogyny? Is that?
I don't know, he's asking me to abandon feminism. It's like, do you even know what feminism is? So you're already talking about like pornography and like no man is gonna marry, like, yes, there are men that will marry women that do pornography, but you were also talking about how there's a lot of men that are judgmental of that. Can I please go home?
If you want to leave, you can leave. I was hoping we could continue having a conversation, but...
I think that was the first time in her life she was faced with like the truth of and the consequences of her actions. And
feminism is a woman's advocacy movement because feminists don't advocate for men.
That's true. It's like a very man-hating thing.
Basically, feminism has just taught generations of women to have contempt, disdain, and hatred for men. Yeah, what's the patriarchy?
It's like living in a world that is run by men and everything is male dominant.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. When you say that it's run by men, it's like, hasn't that kind of worked out well for humanity so far?
Well, I mean, I disagree that there's a patriarchy.
Can you name a society in which women have built it from the ground up? You know, the skyscrapers, the roads.
This is like the new wave of feminism, which is like ending up to be toxic.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of like new wave feminists are like trying to kind of like mimic men's behaviors and actions in like a way to like take power.
I'm not saying we should have a special victim status, but our circumstance is different. We are women. We are less
you're 24 years old. Is your circumstance harder or easier than your grandmother and your great-grandmother?
Exponentially easier. We have access to information we didn't have.
Exponentially easier, but you're handling it worse. Your grandmother and your great-grandmother actually could work with a black man with more trauma.
Because they understood that the black woman and the black man are on the same side. Now that we are all free and independent and we could do whatever we want to, why would we seek to, be one with the black man? We think that being...
Thank you. Clip it, slice it, put it on World Star. She said it, not me. Now that you're independent, you don't need to be with. There you go. There you go. And there you go, black man. There it is. She's finally got one to say it.
Build businesses with us.
Your grandmothers and your great-grandmothers had more trauma and more stress and did it better.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I think life is easier if you're a girl. Actually,
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of benefits that men don't have. I'm not going to speak anything to race. I'm just talking about gender specifically. It's usually like an excuse. Like, honestly, I think as a girl, you have equal opportunity in the world. I think there's benefits. Like, for example, we have quotas for women in specific jobs that are given to us that aren't given to men. So yeah, I would say it's easier being a girl. Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I think life is easier if you're a girl.
Isn't Andrew Tate like 5'8"?
Yeah, he's like 6'3".
Really?
Oh
That short man energy that like, I thought he was like under...
Wait, what did you just say? Short man energy. What does that mean?
Yeah, it was kind of mean. It was like a derogatory stance, I guess you could say.
You know what? I'll let it slide as long as you're okay with fat girl energy.
Bitch, that's pretty...
I didn't define
a woman with a really shitty attitude.
A woman who disguised herself as a man to find out how it is to live as a man committed due to the psychological scars of how difficult life was as a man. Nora Vincent, the author of Self-Made Man, has died by assisted. She was a radical feminist who believed men lived on easy mode and tried to prove it by disguising herself as a man for 2 years. Instead, what she found out is that men actually have it very hard and wrote a book about her experience. In fact, the experience was so bad that she had to stop after 18 months because she was starting to hate women due to how bad the women treated her when she believed she was a man.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they don't have it better. They need our sympathy, they need our love, and they need each other more than anything else. They need to be together.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue. No idea.
Did you like being a woman before, Ned?
I did, but I like it more now because I think it's more of a privilege.
Being a man is much tougher than a woman would ever expect. We face rejection, indifference, and unwarranted hostility far more than any woman could even imagine. I can believe that the interview in her book was more impactful with men than with women. Men responded favorably to her showing cause and effect about gender beliefs and behaviors and were receptive to her conclusions on the emotional level because of a common ground of evidentiary findings and logic-based thinking. Women, being more emotion-led, were more likely to discard evidence and logic and stick to their feelings, no matter whether the feelings proved justified or unjustified based on the evidence that Nora lived through and logically presented to them. The lessons she learned broke her as both a woman and a person, and is a testament to how much of women's empowerment is actually leading to women's self-destruction.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. I had closer friendships with random women I met in the bathroom before I transitioned at clubs because of how open women are than I've had in my 8 years of transitioning. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build.
She's basically dipping a toe in the pool and crying because it's too cold, while natural born men are either just outright drowning, or just trying to keep their head above water just a little longer. It's actually not hard for men to make friends. It's a lot harder to get respect as men. And if you are an emotional transition man, you definitely won't make a lot of friends because our brains are wired differently and the experiences that we have as men are way different. Someone transitioning didn't grow up with the same diversity and struggles as men. Also, now that you've cried publicly about your problems as a man, you are now seen as a weak man and have lost attraction from women, lost respect from other men, and have successfully amplified your isolation.